Gary.
Yes.
People are pointing out Francis Tarkington was born in
Richmond, Virginia.
Yep. And they're asking about his nephew online.
Yes, that would be local man, former TV8 sportscaster Chip Tarkington.
His nephew.
Yes. And I'm proud to say Chip is a friend of mine.
They said ask Gary because he knows him.
It's
I
true.
love Fran Tarkington. When I was a kid, watching Fran Tarkington run and just in circles around everybody.
Sir Francis Tarkington.
I loved him because I was younger than all the other kids that we played two-hand touch football with. And if I ever got to be quarterback, I didn't have a strong arm. I couldn't throw the ball down the field. Nobody would really run big patterns for me because I know I sucked at quarterback. So I just have to run in circles like Fran Tarkington.
It's good to have a role model.
Well, because if not, the older kids would just tackle me and beat the crud out of me.
That's what you do in football in the 1970s.
When you play with the older kids and you beg to play.
Exactly.
And you're smaller than everybody else.
Be careful what you wish for, department.
Exactly. All right. Thank you very much, Gary. 6:35 this morning, Richmond's Morning News Radio WRVA. All right. Can I bring this up for everybody in case you missed it? And it's now the top of the headlines. It was our number one story today. Meta tapped out. So here's what's going on. Bunch of different states, including Virginia, under two attorney generals ago, got into this massive suit against Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook, and they own Instagram as well. And they said, hey, listen, you're harming our kids. Now, we've talked about this before. I've talked about this with TikTok. I think TikTok is insidious. I think TikTok really has done so much damage to kids in our society because of the algorithms. So if you're old enough to remember when social media started, the things that you would get on your feed would just be whatever your buddies put up, whatever the latest thing your buddy put up. So if you're on X, if your buddy put something on there, you would see it if you happen to be there the same time. But if you were 5 minutes late, it got buried underneath everything else anybody else had ever posted on your feed. Okay? Then a couple years after they started this, they installed an algorithm. And the algorithm ranked what went to the top of your feed. So when I had my buddy's thing that I would look, he would get pushed down because the algorithm would say, oh, no, Rich wants to see all these other things. And it started force feeding what their algorithms, what their models told us that what we wanted to look at, and the way they were measured by, if I clicked it, if I liked it, if I stood over it for a couple of minutes or something else, all of a sudden, boom, that algorithm would hit, and that's what you would get bombarded with. And the stuff that you followed and wanted to see from your friends got pushed way down. Sometimes you'd never see it. And then the algorithms got more aggressive. And you know this. If you've got a smartphone, if you're going to talk about something, or I talk about something on the air and the phone is listening, all of a sudden, boom, you start getting ads for that on all your social media platforms and all of your websites. You know that if you watch a video on YouTube, all of a sudden, boom, the next thing is every video is recommended because of that one that you watched. Same thing on your Instagram and your Facebook and all the rest of that. And the reason they do that is that way they can hook you to get you to continue to watch. The more they get you to watch, the better it is for them because they get to sell more ads. They get to make more money. So the algorithms they have sometimes could be very, very insightful. Sometimes they could be very, very, very harmful if it's some kid going down a dark path and all of a sudden they're watching something about, let's say, self-harming, where you see young girls cutting themselves, all of a sudden now you'll start seeing that. Or if it's a young girl saying something about how skinnier you're overweight, and it encourages her to look at this person that's perfect and body shame them into an eating disorder. It's dangerous. So Meta gets sued for $17 billion and a bunch of money. They settled for $17 billion, I should say. and a bunch of things they have to change. They tapped out because Mark Zuckerberg was going to have to go on trial and go up on the stand and testify that they didn't design these social media platforms in this manner, which they did. So now they're not going to admit any wrongdoing, but the company is going to pay a ton of money. Now, here in Virginia, we're going to see, I think it was like upwards of $300 million. So I'm just going to go on the record right now and ask Jay Jones, where is that money going? I want to know. Is it going to go to a bunch of NGOs? Is it going to go to a bunch of pet projects? Or does it go to something substantial? If they're going to $300 million to the Commonwealth, it's not chump change. I'm going to ask, I'm going to stay on top of this. A bunch of people reached out to me yesterday. Where is that money going? Is it going to go for something worthwhile? Is it going to go for more waste, fraud, abuse, and somebody's pet project at Capitol Square? We're going to keep an eye on that and try to find out where exactly that money goes. But my big question to you this morning is 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. Here's what they're asking, and here's what they got. So now for kids under 18, there is now a 2-hour daily limit on Facebook and Instagram. Let's be honest. No one under the age of 18 is on Facebook. It is 100% millennials and boomers on Facebook. It is a gray platform. Insta, completely different. That's one where, okay, you know what? That's going to help kids under 18. You'll have no access from midnight until 6 a.m. Great. Does anybody need to be online if you're a kid between midnight and 6 a.m.? Is somebody nefarious going to be talking to you? Yeah, I think that's a good one. I wish they would have done something about direct messaging from midnight to 6 a.m. That would probably help a lot as well. After about 15 minutes of continuous use, kids will get mandatory interruptions with additional breaks as usage continues. I think that's a good one. So what happens is once I see something and I like it, I get a hit of dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical in your brain that gives you pleasure. The more dopamine you get, the more dopamine you want because it feels good. And what happens is if you're online constantly, boom, 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 you're getting cheap hits of dopamine, but the more dopamine you get and the easier it is, your brain is taught to, just like Pavlov's dog. The dog knew as soon as the bell rang, he was going to get food and he'd start salivating. So he put the bell and the food together in his mind and he'd salivate. And then they just learned that you can ring the bell and he'd still salivate because for him, the bell meant food. Same thing for us. We see that thing that we like. We get that hit of dopamine. It becomes so cheap. We constantly want it and we're looking for it in the easiest, most efficient way to get it. So by blocking that 15 minutes of continuous use, that's going to help break us from that dopamine addiction we have. School hours mode will mute or restrict notifications during school hours. How about you just turn it off? Same thing you have during school hours, midnight to 6 a.m. I bet you the algorithm could figure that out as well. Meta will strengthen the age verification, including technology designed to identify teens who might be lying about their age. Absolutely. And children under 13 are not allowed to have accounts at all. Also changes directly at features, say critics keep doing to give them that dopamine hit. Like and reaction counts hidden by default. Here's what happens. And you see this all the time. And I can play you sound bites of it. Oh, I got 500 likes for that. That means I'm really cool. And it starts becoming your self-esteem and your street cred if you're a kid. Oh, I've got 5 million followers. That makes me an influencer. I will tell you this. I'm a professional influencer, Dave. I make money off of my Facebook post. People will pay money to see it. I made like 13 cents the other day. But for a lot of kids, they make real money and that's their street cred. And all they do is try to do everything they can to get more likes. Those are going to be hidden by default now. Certain beauty and cosmetic filters will be restricted. People are putting beauty filters over the top of themselves because they just weren't pretty compared to everybody else who had beauty filters. And it started to drive people to the point that they were harming themselves to try to be perfect. Parents will receive stronger controls and more information about how their kids are using the apps. Teens will have a greater ability to use feeds that aren't driven by personalized recommended algorithms, meaning you can actually see what your friends want instead of what they're feeding you. All of that is good. Two things. I know the answer to this. As parents, why aren't we doing a better job? Why are we having to rely on Meta for doing this? Because Meta never bought your kid an iPhone. Meta never signed your kid up. Meta is simply a business that took advantage of you and the kids because that's the way their business is built. But your kids wouldn't have an account unless you gave them a laptop, a phone, a tablet. Are we blaming Meta for us not doing a good job as parents? And number two, if all the kids get these restrictions, wouldn't they be good for everybody? Something to think about this morning. Give me your thoughts. It's 6:45 this morning. 833-804-1140. 833-804-1140. I'm going to make it real simple. If this is good for the kids, why not this for everyone? I think there's others that could probably use some of these restrictions as well. You want to comment? 833-804-1140. All right, today's program brought to you in part by our friends at A Plus Windows. That's my friend Billy Kane. So here's the deal. I've actually gone out in sales calls with them.